Hi, it's James here at the Sprinkled Donut Forge in Moscow, Texas. This coal fire in my forge has been burning for a couple hours now, strictly for the warmth and the feel of it. I haven't put anything in it, and some of you may know that are my personal friends that I'm leaving Sunday to go to an appointment Monday in Jacksonville, Florida at the Mayo Clinic to get my leg looked at. And I don't know how long I'll be down, but I will keep everybody up on any forging or anything of interest that I manage to do. So I thought before I get busy tomorrow getting my stuff together for this however long it's going to be trip, that I would make one last YouTube video for the time being, just to get some content out there on what's happening in the Sprinkled Donut Forge. So I found that it's inexpensive to buy these little ball peen hammers, such as this one right here. It cost me right around the $3 range American, so it's not an expensive hammer. The steel seems like it responds very well to heat treat. I've made a few tools. This little punch has done a lot of work for me, and time to time you have to reheat treat, which requires removal of the handle, but that's not a big deal. They're pretty easy to rehandle. This little cutting tool I've used less for cutting and more for making designs, such as in leaves and things like that, under my treadle hammer, which necessitates the need to have a handled tool. And as you see, this is a vertically opposed. It's got a slight lean to it. So what I really needed for standing at the side of the anvil is one that is horizontally opposed. And here's the head from that stick there. And at one point in the past, I started smashing it flat and just gave it over for the evening. So I'm going to make a video of me finishing this piece out, and I hope y'all enjoy it. And I'm going to set the camera up, and we'll get on with that. See you in a minute. Anvil is ice cold. It's a huge heat sink. We're going to go for it. You see it getting cold fast. And stick her back in. Now, working carefully off the edge of the anvil as not to distort the eye, because I want to use the eye with the original handle. For one, as a matter of economy, because it came with it and I don't have to buy an extra handle to put in it, and another, because it fits. A little twisted. Gonna have to work on that. Already that anvil has sucked the good forging heat right out of this thing, and you just have to be patient, give it more heat. In the wintertime, or in the cool weather, it's like 47 degrees here right now. Your anvil will absorb the heat quickly from your workpiece, and you just have to keep depositing it in your forge and getting it hot again. Over the course of half a day, your anvil will get warmer, but a project like this doesn't have that kind of time duration, so you just have to be patient and keep reheating. Back in. Drop forged. Uh-oh. There's a little usable heat left there. I'm going to use it. You see, there's still a bit of a twist on that. If you think about it, you can use that to your advantage. If you want it perfectly straight, heat it up, stick it in the vise, and give it a little twist. But depending on if you're right-handed or left-handed, you might want to use a little bit of twist in there, such as I did in this hammer. So when I'm working over the step in my anvil at an angle, the pein is hitting straight. So I fashioned this hammer from a cheap homeowner fright hammer just for those purposes. And I can see myself sometimes standing in the opposite position, and I would like to forge one that is opposed the other direction. We're always tooling up, and I know it seems like a huge waste of time sometimes to be tooling up, but if you need a thing to do a thing, you know best what's tailored to your needs. And if you know a blacksmith that can successfully forge that item for you, and you're not abashed to pay the money to have that done, well, go for it. But there is absolutely nothing negative to be gained by fashioning your own tooling. Now, you have to heat treat these things properly. You want the struck end, of course, to be soft enough not to chip. And you want the working end of the tool to be as hard as you can get it. But not quite so hard that it's going to chip. So, my recommendation on you, especially if you're using something like coil spring, which is a commonly available material for blacksmithing, is to watch a video made about a year ago by Roy at Christ-Centered Ironworks. And he's heat treating and tempering a chisel. Just search that on YouTube and check it out, and it will enlighten you solid fuel guys on his method for doing this. And making your own tooling is very important. It's an essential part of blacksmithing. In fact, blacksmithing itself was based upon the need for metal objects to be shaped for different purposes. And you need things that can accommodate those purposes, such as these two rail spikes that I had a long while back forged into this set of bolt jaw tongs for holding the tip of rail spikes. And I like the fact that they're not a hardenable steel, or they're not super hardenable anyway. That comment is debatable amongst the spike enthusiasts, but you don't want something that's going to respond badly to going in and out of the heat 1,000 or more times. So I find that spikes are great tong material if you don't want tongs that are 3 feet long. So I'm going to get this back in the fire. We'll get back with this. I left this in the fire a little bit too long. It started to sparkle just a little bit. So I tapped it lightly with the hammer, and I broke some of the scale loose. And I'm hoping this thing hasn't burned off all of its carbon. In any event, it did not cost me much to make this. A little time, several dollars. So I'm not real worried about it. I don't want to ruin usable steel, but getting frustrated is your worst enemy. Just try it. If you think you're wasting your time, don't waste it. If you think you can save a piece, save it. That heat did not last very long. I got some pitting there. I'm not making a custom knife or a sword or anything like that. I'm making a tool to use. So if the tool is still usable, I'm going to use it. Back in. It's a good soak on that. square up the sides a little bit. This is more planishing now than anything. It's really not at a high forging heat. It's still glowing. It's actually forming into something I believe will be usable. I'm putting a slight taper on it, and I want a little bit of a curve at the cutting edge. That way I can rock it when I'm using it and help make my design, such as in leaves or feathers or whatever it is I dream up in the future. You can see it's getting narrower, and I want some body to this piece, so what I'm going to work on is getting that edge a little flatter than that. That's too much curve for my taste. So I'm going to do a little bit of grinding on the tip with the belt grinder and put it back in, and I'll see y'all in a minute. I'm changing to a little Nordic Forge rounding hammer. I do not know the people at Nordic Forge, but I'll tell you this. The rounding side of the rounding hammer is extremely useful in my shop. You don't use a cannon to kill a mosquito. The flat side I don't like too much. I highly recommend dressing this tool before putting it into regular use in your shop. But as far as the weight, the balance, the steel, I have zero complaints about it. I absolutely love it. And I'm using it to kind of get a little taper on the edge of this soon-to-be treadle hammer tool. If you haven't seen how I make the treadle hammer, look back in my videos and I outline exactly what I did. And it's really not great for a power hammer substitute, but it's great for punching and chiseling things. So my idea is to get this thing flat enough to where I can perform a grind on my little Homeowner Fright 1x30 belt grinder and give it the edge I desire. And I think I'm there. So the first step in this, according to Roy over at Christ-Centered Ironworks, is to heat the whole thing to non-magnetic. Of course, he's talking about a chisel. Now keep that in mind. And it's made of coil spring, and I have no idea what this steel is. And then quench it. And the rule of thumb is that's as hard as that steel is ever going to be. And you want to draw your hardness to where you need it. And if it's a struck tool, you don't want the struck end as hard as the working end. So I'm going to give this one more heat and we'll call this thing quits. And we'll talk a little more about it. Alright, see you in a minute. Okay, final heat on this. I'm going to develop my edge with the rounding hammer. I'm going to do that on the horn. Take my cross beam, kind of straighten things up. Pay attention to what side of the hammer you're working on. Got a slight curve this way, little twist that way. That works for me. That's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat this thing to non-magnetic, test it against a magnet that's bench mounted, and quench it. And that's going to be the end of this for the night. A few honorable mentions in random order. There's some people I'm forgetting, but check out Curiosity Forge. Very interesting videos. He also does some really fantastic resin casting, which you should check out Alan's work. And he has that stuff available for sale. And if I was moneyed folk, I would definitely be one of his best customers, because it's awesome, especially the things he does with it. And I want you to check out the Pickled Hammer Forge. Jonathan Mickle. He's a great guy. He's a budding blacksmith. He's really done a lot of things already on YouTube. But he's changing his format to kind of show you his adventures in becoming a blacksmith from a beginner's stance. And I think that's a really, really great concept. And I'm very proud of the man for doing that. And I think it will be informative for all of you to watch. And you should check out County Line Forge, Ting Ting. He has a lot of great videos, and he's doing some live streams right now. He's trying to raise some funds to go to Brazil. He has been invited by the great Brian Brazil. I'm sure I'm very, very badly pronouncing his name, but he's an excellent blacksmith. But he's been invited by this excellent blacksmith to go to Brazil and learn from him, which is a very high honor. And I want to help support his efforts. Haven't been able to do that financially, but check out his channel. If you can donate, and help this man go and achieve his dream, because he's a good person, and I think he's doing a really, really good thing. And he's very, very blessed to have this man willing to show him some of the intricacies of this craft. And don't forget to check out Rusty Hubcap Forge. Personal friend of mine, great guy. He's got a really cool power hammer, and he's sure to do some awesome things with it. So please follow and see what he does with those things. And there's a lot of other people that I'm friends with and that I follow. But check out Roy at Christ-Centered Iron Works. He has a lot of information online on YouTube to help you out with many factors in not only creating tools and materials usages, but also how to help you run your business as a blacksmith. So great to watch. And John Switzer at Black Bear Forge, very good teacher. You should check him out. I could go on and on. Blacksmithing is not a lost art. It's just an obscure craft in the modern scope of things. There are a lot of us out there trying to do the right thing by blacksmithing, and trying to do the right thing by our craft and help other people out. So stay tuned, keep informed. Well, that's all I got for tonight. I'm going to do what I got to do to this thing and shut it down, get my chicken off the barbecue pit, and I'll be down for a little while, but I won't be out. So I'll check y'all later, and until next time, bye.